They are dangerous because they speak and that thousands of people listen to them. A lot of the people who are imprisoned had different opinions. For example, in the Gulf War, some of the people who were in prison supported the government, and some of them were against the government. But the reason they were in prison is because they had students, and they gathered in the masjid and listened to him, and that was considered dangerous. So the danger is speaking. The danger is having people listen to you, especially the young people. They would like that the religion were practiced by the elderly people, and that there's only one source of information, and that is the official line, and there's no alternative source of information. They think that in this day and time, which is now being called the information age, that they can keep the country closed to other opinions, and this is not possible. And they think that their actions and deeds are going to be concealed, but they're not. Everything is recorded. Everything they've said and done will be known in the future. Things that you do not know about now, and that I'm not at liberty to speak of, will be exposed shortly, because when one generation leaves, the other generation comes, and they release the documents, which are all documented. In that particular country, for example, every khutbah of Jummah in every masjid in the entire country is recorded by the secret police, and it's written down by the manuscript, and it's in file. So every khatib I've known who's been taken into custody has been shown his khutbahs and been questioned about statements he made. And in ridiculous ways, because the people who are doing the questioning are totally ignorant. So he'll read a hadith and they're saying, oh, you are implying from this hadith something against the government. Well, no, I was reading a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. I didn't tell you how to interpret it. You can interpret it any way you want. I mean, one brother was arrested in prison because of a statement he made concerning the fact that when it rains in Makkah, this was previously, that because there was an inadequate drainage system, cars and houses would be destroyed by the flooding. So he was made to say in a sign statement that he would never criticize the sewer system of Makkah before he was released from the prison. Ridiculous things like this go on. Somebody asked, should we make takfir of the rulers and criticize them? This is two different things, he said. Criticize them and takfir are two different things. We criticize each other when we see fault, in the brotherly way as much as possible. We criticize each other. That is Amr Ma'ruf and Nahy Munkar. Takfir is saying a person is a kafir. He's an unbeliever. The only way it's possible to say anybody is an unbeliever, a ruler or not a ruler, is if they have done the things which we described earlier as being kufr, akbar. One of which is that this person says that it's allowed for me to rule by man-made laws. The person who says that it's allowed to rule by man-made laws is a kafir of kufr akbar. So then it's allowed, of course, to say a kafir is a kafir. That's not haram. It's only haram to say that a person is a kafir, to instruct them and say, no, brother, you're mistaken. This is the reason that what you're saying is wrong. And then that brother has the chance to repent of what he said. We only say that a person is a kafir if they do so knowingly. A Muslim, some of us, we've studied the Quran, we studied the hadith, but maybe we forgot or were unaware of a particular verse or a particular hadith, and if somebody asks us about that, we deny that because of our ignorance. So you don't go and say, oh, yeah, kafir. No, you go up to that person, no, you forgot about this verse or this hadith. But if the person knowing that Shari'ah is the only law, says, no, in 1998, we have to go by Western laws, or we have to rule by modern systems of thought. This is open kufr. And saying that person is a kafir is not takfir. But what these people are doing to confuse people is say that if you criticize, if you commit Amr Ma'ruf and Nahy Munkar, that's takfir. Nobody in all the history of Islam said that criticizing is takfir. If I say to you, yeah brother, it's salat time and you haven't performed salat, that's not takfir. If I say to the ruler, oh ruler, you must establish a Shari'ah of Allah, that's not takfir. This is reminding them of what is incumbent upon them. And as Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah made clear, if we're silent when evil is spreading in our society, we are just as guilty as the people who are spreading that evil. We must speak out when people are being corrupted, when the children are being brainwashed, when they're being encouraged to adopt Western concepts and ideas of kufr, and we're silent, we allow that. How can we speak when it is the government policy to do so without criticizing the government? It's impossible. Anything that you say critical of this will be interpreted as being criticizing the ruler and takfir, and therefore you're a khariji. So what they're saying is that we cannot change the society. We have to sit still while Islam is totally ruined by its enemies. We have to say nothing and do nothing. Pray and fast and be quiet. Otherwise, we will be accused of all manner of crimes. If you have any doubts, think about what are the consequences. If these people get their way and we say nothing and do nothing, what is going to happen? And if the other side succeed in educating people about what is halal and haram and what is our obligation, then what will happen? Inshallah, very good things will happen. And if unfortunately they are not allowed to educate us, if they're not allowed to criticize what is wrong, then we have no hope for this ummah to get out of the terrible predicament in which it is in. I think these are matters, I am assuming that I'm talking to, mashallah, faithful Muslims who are very intelligent, and I don't need to explain those things in much more detail. Some questions that aren't concerning what I've already talked about? Oh, well, this is Ibn Ibrahim. Well, of course, you can read the book and you can know more about the question is about what is the name of the scholar who said that part of kufr akbar is placing man-made law in place of the Shari'ah. That's found in this booklet. And this is clear, undoubtable concept that saying that there is a man-made law that is legitimate and that we must set aside Islamic law as kufr. This is a clear statement. Clearly that is the opinion of Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn al-Qayyim, and the other scholars of the Salaf. And once again, the person says, if the two Saudi scholars in jail, it's not two, there are hundreds of scholars in jail, but those are the two prominent ones, known outside of the country. But, hundreds of people are in prison for the same thing. Then what is the reason they're in jail? And as I've said, this person says, is it an American plot to prevent a jihad against the West or what? What do scholars, okay. We can call it an American plot, but the fact is it's the Muslims who are doing their deed. The Muslims who are guilty of this. Of course, the non-Muslims want to defeat Islam. But as long as they have the option of using the Muslims for their purposes, that's what they prefer to do. And that's what happened. Like the center that was closed, the only purpose of that center it had no political purpose whatsoever. The only purpose of that center was to translate Islamic books, especially our first project, which alhamdulillah we were able to complete belatedly after it was destroyed, was the translation of the book Jawab Sahih, which is a refutation of Christianity. Very big, massive book. It's about, in English it'll be about 1,300 pages plus indexes and all that. But a massive book considering Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, comparative religion. So if that was the obvious purpose of this center, then why was it closed except for some people don't want us to criticize Christianity and Judaism? That's the only conclusion that you can come to. When they went to that center, they didn't find weapons or political literature or any other such thing. All they found were religious books, and they acknowledged them. They signed it. In fact, I should tell you that because Shaykh bin Baz commanded it, the king signed a paper ordering all the things to be returned, but it was not carried out. So either you can say here that the king orders, but the people disobey his people, or else the king tells the sheikh what he wants to hear, and then he does as he pleases. So none of the things were ever returned. We got an empty building. All the stuff, of course, has long been destroyed, and the money has been taken into the pockets of whomever. People donated, women donated their gold. They took their mahar and donated it to this center. We were gathering money for, at that time, Adahi, for Hajj. It was right at the Dhul Hijjah, right at this time, at Dhul Hijjah. And we were gathering money at that time for the Somali refugees. All that was stolen and of course went to these corrupt people's pockets. How much are we to trust scholars who are paid by the government? Okay, the Salaf always refused positions by the government. They always refused to become closely linked to the government. That doesn't mean they don't take sometimes a position like some of the ulama, of course, took positions as judges. Of course, somebody has to be a judge, and it has to be judged according to Shari'ah. Some scholar has to do that. But they were always very reticent to do that because they knew that there's lots of temptation and corruption involved in ruling with the government. So the scholars stayed far away from being close to rulers. Even when poor Umar ibn